listening to Give Yourself Some Leeway. With me, your host, Eugene Lee. I spent the last 4 years trying to discover how to break the burnout cycle. And as a high achiever in a fast-paced world, I know how easy it can be to slip back into old habits, leaving you feeling overwhelmed and left behind. If you're anything like me, then you need to hear this. It's not your fault. Yes, you can recover from burnout, and post-burnout growth is not only possible, but it feels amazing. This podcast is dedicated to helping you break the stigma around mental health in the workplace, end burnout culture for good, and take action steps today towards your personal growth and success. So let's do it. You felt like you were stuck in a situation where no matter what you did, you couldn't change the outcome. Why should I try if I'm just going to fail at it anyway? Why should I put in an effort if I know that someone else can just do it better than me? Where does that sense of feeling powerless and having no control of the outcome come from? This is a self-sabotaging behavior known as learned helplessness, and it can have a significant impact not only in our personal lives, but day-to-day in the workplace also. Today, I want to explore the origins of learned helplessness and how it not only affects us day to day, but how it can have a significant impact both in our personal lives and in our careers and on our loved ones. I also want to discuss the strategies that we can use to overcome it and take back control of our lives. Learned helplessness is a psychological phenomenon where a person feels unable to change or improve their situation even when they have the ability to do so. It's a state of mind where a person believes that their actions have no impact on the outcome of a situation. This feeling of helplessness can lead to lack of motivation, decreased self-esteem, and a general sense of hopelessness. The concept of learned helplessness was first introduced by psychologist Martin Selligman in the late 1960s. So Selligman conducted a series of very unethical experiments where he subjected dogs to electric shocks that they could not escape. So he put the dog in the cage and induced an electric shock. Eventually, the dogs stopped trying to escape from the cage, even when they were given an opportunity to do so. This led Selligman to conclude that the dogs had learned to be helpless and had given up trying to change their situation. So when he induced the electric shock in an open cage, the dog would just lay down and accept the pain and accept the electric shock. Now, how does this apply to us in the workplace? Well, if you are very highly motivated and you're putting effort into a presentation and you're always being put down for the effort that you put in. For example, one of my friends, he wasn't the most artistic, but he did enjoy art, and he put a lot of effort into an art project when he was in school. And his art professor said, "What is this? You call this art? Are you trying to make fun of me? Are you trying to just be rebellious and put no effort in at all? Do I have to discipline you for this?" And he had put a lot of effort into that art project. But he felt, okay, well, if I put this much effort in, and this is how I'm going to be treated, why should I make an effort at all? And this is a learned state of helplessness. Why should I make an effort if I'm only going to be seen as a failure? And this leads to a lot of people not taking action, especially in the workplace. If you get if someone has a negative attitude towards you for something you put a lot of effort into, if a manager demoralizes someone for their effort on a project when they have put a lot of effort, what they thought was in the right direction, and maybe it was in the right direction, but there may have been a change of plans and that project is now being scrapped. Rather than respecting and appreciating the effort that the employee has put in, the superior tells them, "Oh no, scrap all that, it's completely useless, we're moving on to something else," and doesn't recognize them for the work that they have put in, then they're not going to put an effort into another project. They're like, well, I've put so much time, sweat, and tears into this project, and this is how I get treated. Why should I do anything else? Understand that this negative energy in the workplace, constantly putting people down and making them feel powerless, that they can't change the circumstances no matter how much of an effort they make, or maybe they're suggesting to improve a workflow, and they're like, no, you're not being paid to make the decisions around here. You're being paid from the neck down. You just do the work and we make the decisions. Then that person isn't going to put any input into that project, or they're not going to take ownership of their work. That creates a completely toxic work environment. And if you're a high achiever, that can really take its toll on you. Not only in the workplace, but on your personal life too. You're going to have imposter syndrome. You're going to have this, again, this learned helplessness is going to lead to stress and anxiety. You're not going to be confident in the work that you do. You're not going to be confident in your personal life. If I can't succeed in my professional life, can I trust the decisions and the actions that I take in my personal life also? And this, again, it all leads back to the burnout cycle. It's a self-sabotaging behavior where you don't take actions that could lead to a more positive and fulfilling life because you're afraid that if you take that action, you will be seen as a failure, that everything you do seems to be wrong. And it can not only affect your career, but also affects your relationship with others, with your friends, with your family, with your partner. That if you feel that any action I take is always going to be seen as a failure, then there's a lot of service that you could do to others that you're procrastinating or completely neglecting because you don't want to appear as a failure to them. Now, the good news about learned helplessness is that it's not permanent. It's not a permanent state of mind. It's something that has been conditioned into you, maybe at an early age, or maybe it has happened in the workplace. Maybe it's pretty recent, and it's only been in the last couple of years that you've had this state of learned helplessness around certain tasks. But it can all be overcome with the right strategies and an open mindset. So here are some ways that can help you to break free from learned helplessness in the workplace. So the first step to overcoming it is to recognize and acknowledge that you're feeling helpless. Sometimes you can be in denial, that you just accept, I can't do it. I've never been able to do it, so I won't do it. There's no point in me even trying. Acknowledge that you're feeling helpless around this topic. And once you understand that this is a feeling and not a concrete reflection of all your abilities or your self-worth, once you realize that this is a temporary state and I can change it. Just like your physical health. If you have never run 5 kilometers in your life, it all starts with taking a 20-minute walk and taking small steps. So that's step 2, we take small steps. So instead of trying to tackle everything at once and looking at, I can't take on this 5-kilometer race, I can't take on this full presentation, start with one slide on that presentation. Can you do one slide? Can you talk about 3 to 5 bullet points to one other person, to a friend or to your family, before taking it to your boss, before taking it to your team? So taking these small steps, again, it helps you to build confidence and a sense of control over your circumstances. Leading into that as well is seeking support. So don't be afraid to reach out to your work colleagues or your friends, or maybe a professional for support. Maybe get a mental health professional on board to guide you through something. If you feel it's something stuck in the back of your head, there's so many options for help. You can reach out and speak to a coach, speak to a public speaking coach if you're having trouble with presentations, if you're having trouble with your physical health and you feel it's holding you back, you can reach out to a health and nutrition coach and take the small steps towards overcoming that. Coming back again, we've self-awareness in that reflection. Once you become self-aware of that learned helplessness, that's the first step. Take your small steps, Seek support. There's always help out there. Next, practice self-compassion. Once you practice self-compassion, you have to be kind to yourself. I say this time and time again. It's one of the 3 foundations. Give yourself some leeways that we practice self-awareness, we practice self-compassion. Be kind to yourself. Speak to yourself the way you would speak to your best friend. Remind yourself that this state of learned helplessness is a natural response to a challenging situation. It's your body going into fight or flight. It doesn't know how to respond, so you faint or freeze or fight or flee because you haven't built up the right stimulus or the right response to the stimulus. So just remind yourself, look, this is a challenging situation. I don't know how to deal with it yet. And I can change. All I need to do is take small steps. I've acknowledged it. I can take small steps. And I know that I can be better at this over time. And finally, this all comes down to your mindset. Once you embrace that, okay, I can change my mindset around this. Instead of focusing on what you can't control, shift your focus to what you can control. Can you run 5 kilometers today? Yes, but you might risk an injury. So what can you control there? Well, if I start off by taking a short walk and extending that over a period of time, maybe in 6 to 8 weeks, I can run for 20 minutes. It might not be far, but I'll be able to run maybe 1 kilometer. And then over time, it might take 2, 3, 6 months. You're finally walking 5 kilometers. You're jogging 5 kilometers and finally running 5 kilometers. Taking small steps. It's going to take time. And every milestone, celebrate every milestone, every kilometer, every 20 minutes that you achieve, every 5 minutes you achieve, every time you tie your shoelaces to go out the door. Celebrate those small wins. And that helps keeping you feeling empowered and motivated. And that helps you to get over the small hurdles that you have built up to validate that state of learned helplessness. I hope you enjoyed today's episode because I'm not recording this podcast just for me. I want to serve you. If what I say today helps one person, then it's worth it. It's a win for me. That's my goal, to impact at least one person who needs to hear it most. If you're ready to take the first step towards breaking the burnout cycle, overcoming these self-sabotaging behaviors that are holding you back, and finding greater fulfillment in your life again, then I'm here to help. You can reach out at giveyourselfsomeleeway.com. You can jump on a call with me. You can reach out on Instagram at eugene.leeway or shoot me an email at eugene@leeway.ie. All these links are in the show notes. You can just reach out. Let's have a chat. Until next time, take care.